Sup? It's Hallie, and welcome to the full release of Within. We played the demo of this mod a while ago, and it still has the same persistence, but I'm actually going to go ahead and just start over, because I was skipping through a new game to see just how much things might have changed, and there are some little miscellaneous changes at first, but it also seems like there's some new visuals and some new scenes that were added into the demo portion. So at the risk of making a long LP even longer, we're just going to take it from the top, if that's alright with you. Let's see how it goes. Act 1, Something About Us. It's a regular Tuesday morning like any other. Nothing too exciting, but not entirely boring either. It's just the basic run-of-the-mill school run. As usual, I'm waiting for Sayori, my neighbor and childhood best friend. She's the kind of person you couldn't imagine making friends with on day one, but I guess it just works since we've known each other basically all our lives. In a way, she's like the little sister I never had, despite her being a whole 2 months older than me. I look at the clock on my phone. Come on, Sayori, we'll be late at this rate. I grumble to myself. Eventually the door of her house opens and out emerges Sayori. She's just getting her bag on, all while keeping a half-eaten slice of toast firmly locked in her jaw.
Sorry, I overslept again.
Her voice is partially muffled by the toast. I just roll my eyes and give her a smirk. I figured.
Hey!
Sayori finally takes the toast out of her mouth and speaks, her voice still slightly muffled due to her chewing.
That's mean, Hallie.
I'm kidding. I chuckle. Since we were young, it's always been easy to tease Sayori from time to time. She knows I'm joking, but her reactions are way too fun to pass up. Anyways, you coming?
Well, yeah.
We soon start to walk up to school. With every passing minute, the street starts getting flooded with students ranging from groups of friends, those on their own, and couples. With Sayori and I making small talk along the way up, she then brings up something that's clearly been on her mind for a bit.
Say, you've not joined the club yet, have you?
Not yet, no. I scratch the back of my head, or my neck, as my voice trails off. Admittedly, I did not really been looking for any clubs. None of the ones I had seen so far really piqued my interest, and the one club I had been remotely interested in, the music club, had been closed the previous school year due a lack of funding. Oh no! Due to a lack of funding. I already found a typo! In the full version. I then look over at Sayori, who seems to be remembering something.
Well, maybe you could check out my club.
That reminds me, Sayori had recently told me that she was the vice president of the school's recently established literature club. Recently. Whilst literature had never really taken my fancy, I do remember my English grades being decent at best. That, and as a budding musician, it helps to break down solemn lyrics to find the meanings behind each track. It kinda counts as poetry, right? I sigh. I mean, I don't really have much else to do, so I guess I can stop by.
Yay!
Sayori lets out a cheery yawn, still half asleep, I guess. She then grumbles in a way that's still quite audible.
Good job by us Snotski to make those cupcakes last night.
I decide to play dumb, even though I clearly heard her. What was that?
Nothing.
She chuckles as we now stand outside the school gates.
Anyways, see you later.
Sayori, wait! Before I can finish, she's already become one with the bustling masses. I don't even know where the club is now. Knowing Sayori, she'll realize that and let me know later, let me know later, though, so I can't complain too much. There we go. I check my timetable to remind me of my first period. Period 1, History. Mr. I. Serizawa. Ah, History, one of the few subjects I'm genuinely any good at. Time to get this day over with. It's too early to get it over with. Deal with it. The school day was about as ordinary as ever, and it's over as soon as it began. As I start packing my things, it hits me that I've not seen Sayori since this morning. She's gone to the club without me, hasn't she? By the time I get to the door, a familiar flash of peach-colored hair and a red bow catch my eye. Sayori runs up and then holds her arms against the wall.
Give me a second.
She speaks between exaggerated breaths. You didn't need to run here, you know. I chuckle with a smirk.
But I forgot to tell you where the club is.
My earlier guess was right, I suppose. Ah, fair enough. I step into the corridor. Anyway, we going?
Yep.
Sayori beams, seeming to fully recover from her breathlessness as we start to walk up. I can't talk today. I'm having trouble. Bleh. We soon find our way up to a section of the school that I rarely visit, besides for music class. Soon enough, though, we find our way to the clubroom. I have a peep through the window and can spot a purple-haired girl with a gentle yet intense expression that's focused on the book on her desk. I can also hear some partially muffled voices hinting at more members inside. Sayori swings the door open and bolts into the room.
Guys, the new member's here!
But I haven't even figured out if I like the club yet. Oh well. I timidly enter the room and wave as the club's other members look in my direction. The girl with the purple hair closes her book before getting up and walking towards me. I think I've seen her before in my science class. I could be wrong though. I'm not known for my attention span in science after all. She speaks in a soft voice that matches her gentle expression.
So you're the Hallie that Sayori was talking about. She always says nice things about you.
A much shorter girl with pink hair that's decorated with assorted red clips and ribbons comes up. Actually, they're all ribbons. Much like the other girl, I'm certain I've seen her in one of my classes. Just can't remember her name. Surely I'm not that bad with names, am I?
Seriously, Sayori, you brought a boy? Way to kill the mood.
The taller girl sighs.
Natsuki.
The other girl, apparently named Natsuki, relents and averts her gaze away from me. I'm also certain that this is the same Natsuki that Sayori said made some cupcakes. Her smaller stature makes me think she may be a first-year student. Sayori then gets closer to me and whispers,
Just ignore her when she gets moody.
She then bounces back as she steps towards the other girls.
Anyway, this is Natsuki, energetic as usual. And this is Yuri, the smartest in the club.
Yuri's face goes a bit red.
Don't just say things like that.
I can imagine someone like her has a bit of a struggle keeping up with people like Sayori and Natsuki.
And of course, there's Hallie.
A voice then calls out from behind me, causing me to turn around to meet a face I'd not seen that much since the second year of high school. Monika? My face adopts a small grin. She doesn't look like she's changed too much. Then again, I have seen her around the school every so often, but we did not had a class together since last school year. Back then, she was the most popular girl in the year, and I'm more than certain she still is. She's smart, beautiful, athletic. She's also someone way out of the league of a guy like me. To be honest, I did develop a sort of schoolboy crush on her during the time we shared an English class, but I never worked up the courage to ask her out. We did work on group projects a fair bit, though. I gulp. I haven't seen you in ages. How have you been? She smiles sweetly at me, still infectious as always.
I've been good, just busy as usual.
That reminds me, Monika, without a doubt, was the hardest working person I knew. Her grades were always either near the top or fully on the top of the class in exams.
How about you, Hallie?
I scratch the back of my neck nervously. You know me, same old, same old. I chuckle just as nervously.
Anyways, why don't you come sit down?
She gestures over to an amalgamation of desks in the center of the room formed to create a makeshift table. I also noticed that Natsuki and Yuri have gone to the back of their clubroom, presumably to get some other things. With a nod to Monika, I then make my way to sit next to Sayori, still feeling kinda shy. Monika eventually joins us. Whilst having the occasional chat with Sayori, I do catch her making the occasional glance over at me. Occasional. Eventually, she starts talking to me once again.
So, what made you consider the club?
I mean, I can't just lie to her. Well, Sayori mentioned it on the walk to school this morning, and I told her I'd check it out. I feel my face redden a little.
No need to get embarrassed.
Monika eases any nerves I admittedly may have had.
I promise I'll make you feel right at home, okay?
Again, I find myself smiling at her. We then hear Natsuki's footsteps approaching. I turn and notice her holding a small plastic container, must be the fabled cupcakes Sayori was on about earlier. She then places the container on the table and rests her hand on the small lip on the edge of the lid. Oh my god.
Okay, y'all ready?
Her voice is lined with anticipation. After a collective nod, Natsuki practically rips the lid off, revealing a batch of white fluffy cupcakes decorated to look like cats.
Ta-da!
Natsuki says that with a big toothy grin, clearly proud of her work. The three of our eyes lighten up. They look amazing. I feel kind of bad about eating them. The curse of good-looking food.
So cute!
Sayori's excitement overshadows everything else. We each take a cupcake and we start to eat. Honestly, they taste as great as they look. The soft texture of the white cream perfectly accompanies the taste of the small bits of chocolate. I turn to Natsuki, swallowing before opening my mouth. You made these? She raises an eyebrow.
Yeah?
These taste great. Thanks for bringing them. I give her a earnest smile. Ernest. And is... You know, I know this mod is, like, British, so I don't know if this is just the British spelling of Ernest, or if they forgot an A in between this E and R here, causing her to fold her arms and blush a little. Oh god.
Well, it's not like I made them for you or anything.
I never said you did. I decided to give up on Natsuki's bizarre logic and turn my attention to Yuri, who's coming over with a tray holding a collection of teacups and a teapot. The faint steam hinting at freshly made tea, always a pleasant smell. You keep a whole tea set in here? Yuri smiles as gently as ever.
Don't worry, the teachers gave us permission.
I smile back. Well, I'm not complaining. Besides, I wouldn't turn down tea.
I'm glad.
Yuri's cheeks redden a bit as she sets the tray down and starts pouring a drink for each of us. She then takes a seat after handing us our respective cups.
So, Hallie, what kind of things do you like to read?
I was kind of afraid of this question. Yeah, I've read a fair bit in the past, but nowhere near as much as anybody else in this club has, let alone Yuri. You don't have a really frame of reference for that opinion, guy. Of course, I still gotta be honest. Well, most times it ends up being like manga, song lyrics, and others, or some other books. My voice trails off a bit.
No worries. Maybe you'll pick up something to read during your time here.
Maybe I will. I smile at Yuri again. I also noticed that Natsuki's head seems to perk up a bit when I mentioned me reading manga. I can't do it today, man. Maybe I'll be able to get some recommendations from them both one day. Who knows? As the conversations carry on between each of us, I learn a bit more about the girls' literary interests. Honestly, it's amazing that they all seem quite close despite their varied tastes. It soon gets suggested that Natsuki's been writing poems recently, seemingly on the cute side. I'm kind of curious to learn more about that. I turn to her. You write your own poems, Natsuki?
I guess. Why do you care?
I find that impressive. Would you mind sharing them at some point?
No.
She retreats into her chair a bit.
You wouldn't like them.
Not a confident writer, I presume. Stating the obvious as usual.
I feel the same as Natsuki.
Yuri suddenly pipes up, still as gentle as ever.
Sharing that level of writing requires more than just confidence. You must be willing to show your readers your vulnerable side, even showing them the deepest reaches of your heart.
That was quite poetic if I do say so myself. Monika joins the conversation again.
Do you have writing experience too, Yuri? Maybe Natsuki would feel comfortable if you shared some of your work.
Yuri goes to say something but falls silent shortly after a bit of stammering. I empathize with her in a way. I'm not usually the best at sharing my more emotional side so freely, especially with people I've really just met. I glance back at Monika. I guess it's the same for Yuri, too.
Aww.
Yuri seems slightly downcast.
I wanted to read everyone's poems.
There's a moment of silence. Seemingly out of nowhere, Monika's vibrant green eyes sparkle with optimism.
Okay, everyone, I've got an idea.
Our collective gaze fixes onto Monika.
How about we all go home and write a poem of our own, and then share them tomorrow? That way we'll all be even.
There's a bit of hesitation from Natsuki and Yuri. Kind of expected that to be the case, though. I go to speak. I'd definitely... Any text boxes? No, it's too early. Stop. I'd definitely be...
Yeah, let's do it!
I'm suddenly cut off by Sayori's burst of energy. How the hell do I keep up with her? It does seem to put a smile on Monika's face, though. She turns to me.
And since we've got a new member now, it should help strengthen the bond of the club. Isn't that right, Hallie?
Well, I hadn't been actively considering joining any clubs full times, but I can't deny that this club has quite a relaxed atmosphere. Be it because of the girls themselves or simply because it's a smaller club, I still haven't quite worked that one out yet. Besides, if writing poems is what it takes to reconnect with Monika, then I'd say it's worth it. I collect my thoughts. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But wait, you're joining?
My response seems to take Sayori by surprise. I nudge her. Come on, you think I wouldn't join? Besides, it's kind of cozy. The feeling of happiness about my decision seems to be mutual throughout the group. Hell, even Natsuki seems glad.
If you just came for the cupcakes, I'd be super pissed.
Sounds like something I could see myself saying.
Well, that makes it official.
Whilst Monika's voice is addressing the four of us, her eyes remain focused on me.
Welcome to the Literature Club.
After that, the meeting slowly comes to its conclusion. It was a lot less nerve-wracking than I thought it'd be. It's... Once again, don't know, because it might be wrecking in British, but at least in English, American English, it would be racking with an A. There you go. Everyone seems really nice too, which makes the atmosphere that much better. I pull out my phone to make a note for tonight's assignment. Write a poem for tonight. Sayori then skips up to me as I slide my phone back into my pocket.
You ready to go?
Yeah, hang on. I sling my bag over my shoulder. Before we leave, I wave and say goodbye to the rest of the club. Whilst Natsuki and Yuri shyly wave back at me, Monika waves back in a way that's almost she's saying goodbye to an old friend. Almost if she's saying goodbye to an old friend.
See you tomorrow.
Me and Sayori then begin our journey home. All throughout the walk home, my mind is already racing about what I could write tonight. However, there's only one person, in fact, that my mind keeps coming back to. That being Monika. Just Monika. I couldn't put a finger on it as to why she was floating around in my brain. Maybe it's because of my still present crush on her. I can't say for sure. All I do know is that she leaves me with this rather pleasant feeling in my chest, almost reminding me of when I first laid eyes on her. I stop momentarily and place my hand on my chest. My heart won't stop pounding.
Earth to Hallie.
Sayori's voice breaks my thoughts. Yeah? I turn to face her, my face is feeling slightly red.
You okay?
My hand's still on my chest. I feel my heartbeat starting to steady. It's nothing, Sayori. I can't tell her why I'm feeling this way. Well, at least why I think I do anyways. Just how would she even react? Just got stuff on my mind is all. The look that Sarai gives me is that one says, or you mean is one that says, I can see right through you, but she doesn't say anything to confirm that suspicion.
Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow.
I bid her goodbye as we go our separate ways. As usual, I try the door to see if Mum's back from work. British mod. I get my key out of my pocket and let myself in. I know Mum has been working 2 jobs since my dad died, but honestly it gets lonely sometimes being here on my own. I fetch a small bag of crisps from the cupboard to keep my stomach satisfied till dinner. I can't help it, man. Briticisms. Making my way upstairs, I take a quick detour into my bedroom, which I can describe as a nerd's paradise, to drop my bag and get out of my uniform. I can't really focus at home like that now, can I? After that, and more snacking, I make my way to what used to be the guest room. We don't really have long-term guests anymore, so Mum decided to give me the room to myself to have somewhere to focus on my music. I still gotta tidy up this room at some point. I sit in the nearby office chair, internally debating with myself whether to work on music or the poem. Thinking about it, it would probably be best to sort out the poem. I got to make an at least decent first impression with my writing. I get up and return to my room. After sitting at my desk, I grab a pen and a single piece of paper and start jotting down what's on my mind. I remember that being a technique taught to us during the first year of English classes. Back then, I didn't expect to be using it outside of class. After about 5 minutes, I'm finished. Amidst the standard emotional stuff, there's the remnants of when I may have gone too far into my heart. I must have written down and then scribbled out Monika's name at least 4 or 6 times. Even now, the thought of her makes my heart race. Maybe that schoolboy crush of mine never died? Grabbing a second sheet of paper, don't need that up. I feel a new sense of determination as I start letting my heart guide the movements of my pen. That in itself is oddly poetic of me. Is that a good sign? There's really only one way to find out. With the ring of the bell, another day of the classes comes to an end. Since my last class was music, I quickly make my way to the clubroom. To my surprise, I'm the first one in. I at least thought that Monika would have been here first, given her being club president and all. Seizing the brief time alone I know I have, I take a seat at the nearest adjacent desk and take my laptop out of my bag to make some little tweaks to my latest class project. My god. The project itself is nothing too out there. It's a simple piece, driven mostly by a steady bass line, a piano, and a kick drum. It's akin to some of my earlier hyperactive productions, but definitely more simplistic when it comes to the sound design. I listen to it. I listen again. Maybe I should scrap this. Just then, my head darts back as the door opens. It's Monika. I focus back on my laptop, praying she didn't notice me or my dilemma. However, I then hear her back softly hit against the door and a long, exhausted sigh. I glance back and her eyes meet mine.
Hey, Hallie.
Hey, Monika. I give her a gentle smile. You good? She smiles back.
Kinda.
She sighs again.
Just science class stressing me out.
I can sympathize with her. There's only 2 science teachers for our year, those being Miss Nakama, and Mr. Kurosawa. Whereas Nakama is more youthful and her lessons tend to be more down-to-earth from what Sayori has told me, Kurosawa has a bit of a rep for being a hard ass. Let me guess, Kurosawa giving you a hard time. She nods. I pull out a chair for her. I don't even have to say anything as she starts to come over to join me. Her eyes then focus on the screen of my laptop.
What are you up to?
She seems curious. My eyes first start to the screen, then back to her. I feel my cheeks redden a bit. It's nothing, just a class project. Kinda thinking of starting over. She focuses a little more on the screen before her eyes flicker back to meet mine. A smile forms across her face.
Mind if I have a listen?
Sure. I smile back as I then hit the spacebar to start the track. Again, part of me wants to restart it, but I can't help but notice that Monika seems to kinda enjoy it, and even her head is bobbing to the beat. As soon as it began, the track comes to an end, and, if on cue, the door opens and the rest of the club make their way into the room. Monika quickly turns to me, seemingly taken back by the sudden entry of the rest of the club.
I'll tell you what I thought in a bit.
She smiles sweetly, and I smile back. That damn irresistible smile of hers. She then gets up and starts to greet the rest of the club. I quickly close my laptop and slide it back into my bag. I then feel the air quickly leave my lungs as a pair of arms suddenly clamp around me. Well, we'll have to figure out who's hugging him next time, because I actually needed 1 episode of this to cover my content for the week. I'm going to try to hustle through the first couple chapters or so, I guess it would be, because, like, I double-checked the series length before I started this recording, and we got like 11 episodes out of that demo, so it's not like we don't have a lot to recover here, but, you know, it's fine. We'll get there. But that will do it for now, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time with more Within. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye!